Hi there, it's Simon Gray from Career Codex, and back today with another weekly video. And this week I'm talking about one of the things that people fear the most when it comes to their job search strategy. And sometimes they fear it so much they actually avoid it and go out of their way not to do it. And this, of course, is face-to-face networking. And if you think about what people often think about when it comes to networking, it's walking into a room full of strangers, people you don't know, not necessarily sure about what to talk to them about. It's probably a place you've never been to before, and it can make people feel really, really uncomfortable. Then adding the complication of trying to balance a drink while you wander around the room, trying to find somebody to speak to, and it's no wonder people fear this stuff and avoid this stuff. But one of the reasons that they do that is because they don't have a strategy, they don't have an approach. And what I'm going to do today is talk about three things or three top tips that you can take away to apply to your networking, whether that's for business development or to open opportunities in the future for a new career move or a new job. I talk about networking a lot in my books. I've written 3 books. You can find these on the website careercodex.com/books, and I talk about 2 couples, the handbooks. That stands for hand out all of my business cards, and the ALSICs, which is arrive late and stand in the corner. And Mr. and Mrs. Handbook and Mr. and Mrs. ALSIC, they're fictional characters, of course, but you've probably seen these types of people at networking events. You know, if your strategy at networking events is to hand out as many business cards as possible to as many people as possible and collect cards off them, it's not really a strategy, because you're going to get home, you've got all these cards, they're going to go home with your card, but they're not going to remember you a week, 2 weeks down the track. And similarly, if you arrive late to avoid that, you know, the networking and the standing around, then you're really missing the opportunity to build some really good relationships and to build a relationship with one very important person who I will talk to you about in a little bit. And standing in the corner on your own or with somebody that you've come with, again, it's not really a strategy to build new relationships and to create new opportunities. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. The first thing is that you need to have a strategy. So you need to know why you're going to that particular networking event. And you've got to ask yourself a number of questions. You know, who are you trying to meet? You know, if you're in the aerospace sector, if you're going to an event for finance professionals, well, you're probably not going to meet the right kind of people. So is it industry specific? And will there be the right level of senior decision maker in the room? You know, if you're looking for an executive position, you want to go to an event in your industry sector where senior decision makers will be in attendance. What's the format? You know, you can go to networking events that are stand around for a couple of hours having drinks. Great events, really good events. But for me personally, the type of events that I think are the most valuable is where there's some education. So you go to an event, you do some networking, there is a speaker, a presentation, something communicated that will add knowledge, and then you do some networking at the end. And one of the reasons I like these events, they're actually the events I run, doing something else that I do. But also, it's a great icebreaker because you've got something to talk about that's common to you all at that particular event. So there's discussion beforehand about what to expect. Then there's discussion afterwards about what you thought. And even if you don't meet somebody that you can build a relationship with moving forward, at least you've got some education out of that experience. The other thing you need to think about when it comes to having a strategy is, where's the event based? You know, if you're traveling a long way to an event and it's out of your area where you're geographically looking to win business or geographically looking to find your next job, then maybe going a bit further afield isn't quite right from a time investment point of view and from a cost point of view. But there can be some exceptions. If it's a national conference or an international conference in your industry sector, then you'll find that people travel far to get to this conference, and you may meet people from your geography anyway. Now, having picked the right kind of networking event, you know, I talked about you need a strategy. This is the first point. Now, don't be like the ALSICs and arrive late. In actual fact, you should arrive early, because if you arrive early, you have the opportunity to meet the person who's organised the event. Now, this person is very important because they generally know all of the people coming. They're in a position to introduce you to people as they arrive. There's somebody you can ask advice from. You know, this is me, this is my background. I'm looking to meet certain people in a certain space to achieve a certain thing, and they'll point you in the right direction. So it avoids that awkwardness of being the last to arrive. By meeting the organizer of the event, there's kind of an implied recommendation that when they introduce you that, well, A, they're going to introduce you to the right people, and also the fact that they introduce you kind of tells the person that they're introducing you to that they should be having a conversation with you. And I call these people market makers. If you've read any of my books or seen any of my other content, you'll know that market makers who are well-connected individuals in a discipline, industry sector or geography are an important part of any successful job search strategy. So what's the second point? Well, the second point, or the second piece of advice or top tip is to be different. Because if you're different, you're more likely to be memorable. Okay, now, one of the phrases I hear all the time at networking events that I run or go to, people when they first meet somebody will say, well, what do you do? Now, if you ask that question, it's pretty much the question everybody asks. And the usual response is job title and organisation that the person works for. Now, it could be a great job, it could be a great organisation, but it's not that memorable because it's what everybody else says. So why not try something different? Try to be a bit more creative, a bit more innovative. And one of the things that I've used with success in the past is to say, what are you currently working on in your business? What's keeping you awake at night? What are the opportunities in your organisation that you're focusing on? Because it takes the conversation to a higher baseline, a higher level. And it gets past that superficial job title and organisation into really the meat of the subject. And sometimes at networking events, you've got a really short space of time to try and build a relationship and to try and establish whether the relationship you're building is one that you want to carry on after the event. So taking the conversation to a higher level by being creative and innovative with your questioning at the beginning is very important. Now, when you go to a networking event, it's really important to try and listen first, because if you listen first, then there's more of an opportunity for you to ask the right questions and to talk about some of the stuff that you will talk about relating to yourself that's going to be relevant to the listener. So I talk about this thing, I've done this on previous blog posts, podcasts and videos. We're no longer in the business of see me, hire me. We're in the business of see me, like me, trust me, hire me. And this leads me into my third point, which is to say, you've got to forget selling. So if you're at a networking event looking to sell a product or a service, don't do it. Don't do it because people will switch off from it and it's too obvious. If you're there looking to open up an opportunity for a new career or a new job, again, don't be there pitching your CV or your experience straight off. Listen first, engage with the right people, see what they have to say, and then wait for them to ask you about you. And that conversation will naturally happen. In fact, I do something quite counterintuitive. I actually go to networking events and ask lots of questions of lots of people and try as long as possible not to talk about myself, because it actually builds a better relationship, because you understand a bit more about the person. So when it is your turn to speak, you know what you should be talking about that will resonate with them. And remember, if you're in the job market and you go to a networking event with the expectation that you're going to meet somebody that will have a job for you right there and then, well, the probability of that is so small, it's not even worth thinking about. The thing you need to be thinking about is, will this person remember me 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line? Because if they do, there's more of a chance that they'll get back in contact if an opportunity presents itself, either with their organisation or with somebody else that they know. And if you read any of the books or seen the other content, this is the hidden market. This is the place where recruitment does get done before opportunities are ever presented on job boards or with recruitment consultants. So it's important to be very memorable and also to forget selling, which are points 2 and 3 of the top tips today that you need to really be thinking about. So if that's been of interest, I've got an invitation for you, because next month on the 9th of November, I'm running an event. It's an international mashup with a lady in Dallas called Judy Hoberman. We're doing an event on executive networking and how to do it right. She'll be over in Dallas, I'll be based in the UK. It's a 45-minute webinar with 15 minutes for Q&A, and we're going to be sharing 3 key themes about how to network properly, both offline, so face-to-face, and also online, which is often a vehicle to get face-to-face, because that's where the real business gets done. So this is 9th of November. It's 7 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. rather, I should say, Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you'd like to join, it's free to join. If you go to the Career Codex website, careercodex.com, click on the yellow post-it note, and you'll just need to put in your first name, surname, email address, and then you'll be sent all the details to join on the day. And don't worry if you can't make it. If you can't make it, that's fine. If you do sign up, everyone who signs up will have a copy of the recording thereafter. Did one of these events a few months back, very successful. It was about general executive job search. And if you'd like to go and have a look at that, then it's careercodex.com/video. So that's really it for today. I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter. I've been taking some feedback from people who watch. If you've got some feedback, please drop that in the comments box below. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do that via the comments box, via the Career Codex website, careercodex.com, or if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's Simon Gray ACA, and that's Gray Gray. So that's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed. Until next week, till next time, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.